Alright everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. I'm your host, Little Rugard, and joining me is none other than Commissioner themselves, Guiltspire. Into the semifinals we go. What do we got today?
We got ourselves a singularity on the suffocation bit with Cynic killing first against Aeternum here in semifinals number 1. This here, folks, is for the finals position. So this is our, well, not second to last match, but second to last stage before we see finals and bronze next week. And with that being said, Singularity heading on over towards the Shack side. And we do see that denied requisition form once again, which we haven't seen quite a lot on the Singularity, and for good reason. It is a very strong start here.
Absolutely finding the ace and taking the chase into the Shack there, immediately dropping Shack pallet. You'll love to see it as the killer, as this survivor's wasting all the pallets. This killer's wasting no time whatsoever. However, Ace might be taking a hit over this pallet here. Where's the mind game? Holding W. They both called it correctly. And Ace will take a tag for that really quickly. Worth noting, that is a sloppy butcher, is it not?
That it is, in fact. So that is the main golden hemorrhage status effect now on the Ace. Going to make it a little bit more difficult for these survivors to heal. Also, do want to point out, as far as the slipstream is concerned, the Soma family photo is also giving the Singularity here a lot of raw value just in the amount of distance to be able to gain after that slipstream. And looks like Ace going to be making their way into middle. Singularity kind of losing them and then going to go for a chase on someone else, trying to slow these gens down.
But to say, they do interrupt this gen, and am I wrong? Was there 3 people on that gen?
It was looking like 2, maybe 3 is kind of hard to say, not gonna lie.
Yeah, we're looking back here. There's a 4 gen on this side, and survivors have obviously identified it. I imagine they have deja vu. They probably say, oh, hey, guys, we need to go take out this generator on the, the main building side. And coming back to the chase, I believe this is the tap now. And it is hard to keep up with these killers that just, hit and run so frequently. Like, who are they chasing? And I can't wait for killer perspective not to be bugged anymore. I need it.
Yeah, I honestly, it was one of those things that I was like, I wasn't sure, was the stutteriness from the screen sharing, or was it like the Singularity? Because the Singularity also is a little bit stuttery, more or less. It's like, oh wait, no, that's the screen sharing.
It is, and it looks like Renato getting a reset. It looks like Ace and Renato maybe resetting together. Tap now taking chase into the center. And also worth noting, the biopods have no screen sharing. It's just the Singularity. The poor thing.
Well, it's the same thing with Victor and the twins, where Victor has it, but Charlotte doesn't. Like, same exact thing. It's the oddest of things, but Tap going into the corner here, looking like there is no resources. Just going to go to the counter corner, going to take the first down here. And no gens popping off as of yet. Looks like Survivor's taking a lot of time to reset. Speaking of the devil, though, and first gen will appear. Tap missing a few of those skill checks for what it's worth, but I think Singularity will get them to this hook, no problem. And that, friends, could have very well have been a Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. Regress the most progressed gen by 25%.
Which I'm wondering if there was really much gens, actually at 25%. We saw one at the... Oh, that was the one at Hill that they were working on they got pushed off of. So maybe it actually did get some value, potentially.
Yeah.
Worth also considering, it was well after 2 minutes before that first down occurred. So Singularity got a lot of corrupt value time since the first gen, first gen came afterward. So many pallets got wasted during that time. Singularity, I think, has a relatively good start.
Yeah, so far so good. We'll have to wait and see if these survivors are able to rally back. Looks like Singularity going to be following the Renato further into main side. We do see that life getting a little bit of distance, but the slipstream going to make up for that exhaustion perk. And yeah, looks like it's another comp corner situation here. Singularity doing a really good job of zoning these survivors out.
It really is. And also, this kind of goes back to what we're saying. Looks like they are going to be splitting pressure, leaving the survivor slug in the corner, going for Nancy instead, getting a hit. This is what I'm talking about. This is the pressure that Singularity can just have just out of nowhere. They go comp corner's like, oh, he's going to pick me. Wait, deals down, like, wait, he's not picking me. And all of a sudden, off to the races they go. And Nancy having to go to the hook. Survivor have to go over and pick them up, as obviously Unbreakable is no longer in the works. Also, okay, you guys have access to the stats. How is Singularity looking this season? I'm seeing a lot of good games.
So Singularity is doing pretty well this season, to say the least, and I imagine they will only continue to do well through and through. That being said, we're taking a look at their add-ons as well as perks allowed on and against them. So we'll have to take a look and see how they appear in qualifiers and the Season 9 as well. But so far, they're doing a great job, and honestly, I'm loving to see. I'm very interested to see what the Xenomorph also brings us with this upcoming qualifier season.
Honestly, I can't wait. Like, in Singularity, it's obviously not even S tier, but honestly, the way that these comp players are handling the Singularity, I'm thinking almost A tier. Like, this kill is absolutely bonkers, and obviously the Xenomorph is going to be so much fun to watch. But yeah, now the killer has a lot of pressure here. We got three stars injured, Slipstream being EMP'd there, but getting what was he? Rescinded as Ace takes another hit. It looks like Ace. I can't keep up. Okay, are they going after Nancy? Like, yeah, let's go going for the tunnel out here.
Yeah, looks like that is the case. And Nancy, once again, with nothing at the disposal, just going to be going to the comp corner. It's going to be looping this for a little bit, trying to get their team a little bit of extra time on the gens without being interrupted. And this will be Nancy on second hook here. One hook away from being sent back to the campfire via the entity. Yeah,
we were talking about this yesterday before they, decided to leave what is it, Renato slugged and then go after the Nancy in the corner. That's what these teams on the Survivor side do so well, is that that, like, resources are gone, survivors know that. It's like, okay, I've wasted as much time, we know where to die. And they're dying in the same corner, where there's no gens that they care about. On the opposite side.
I mean, it's a smart play to say the least, but Singularity with the ability to teleport across the map as we're seeing here and get downs and injures. I mean, it's going to make it very difficult for these survivors to make it work. We do see the PAL 3 drop there. Singularity trying to get the Slipstream, unable to do so as the third gen is completed.
Yeah, these survivors are not giving up at all, just slamming gens left and right. And I think, unless I'm incorrect, I think they have broken the 3 gen on either side, so now it's a 2-2 split. However, once Nancy goes down, we've seen that once the survivor has actually been tunneled out, this is a killer that has the lethality of something similar to an S tier, where it's just constant cat and mousing and survivors can't get anything. They're just stuck.
Yeah,
it's needs to be able to live.
It is going to be a difficult task here. Nancy getting mind gamed though, and that there will be the down on the Nancy. Singularity just able to make it work. I think Nancy and the survivor on the gen may have miscommunicated a little bit there. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was a fantastic communication as Ace with the head-on coming in, and that there will give the Nancy a second chance at life.
All right, that's one for the high roll, folks. Phenomenal head-on play. 4th generator falling. Survivor is very much back in this game now, as Nancy's got, like, you kept Nancy alive. That's exactly what you needed to do. Now the killer can't, 3v1, which is, like, Singularity can 3v1 like almost no other killer. Like, it's like a pseudo S tier for the map pressure that they can present. Oh my goodness.
And Nancy doing a great job at this window too. Singularity trying to mind game it, but Nancy getting through. That's a mid-vault though, and as I say all the time, a mid-vault is a gift to every killer, and it is a gift that just keeps on giving? Okay, I was really confused why Nancy was still on the ground while Singularity was doing their animation, but this will be Nancy sent back to campfire via the entity. The question is, how far along are these generators? We'll have to take a look and see as Renato going towards the exit gate. That tells me this gen's about to pop.
Yeah, we saw a survivor coming over to help out the A's, and yeah, Tap able to finish it out with the A's. Now the question is there anything? Does Singularity bring Noed? That's the big question. Did they bring Noed? And I don't know if they did it. We saw Corrupt Intervention, we saw Sloppy Butcher, we saw Pain Resonance. I don't know if we saw a 4th perk yet.
I don't think we did, and it wasn't for a lack of potential value, but just for a lack of time used. And that's one of the things about these perks and the type of killers you bring them on, as it was in fact a Pop Goes the Weasel that I don't think ever actually got used.
No, they went for the tunnel out on Nancy, and that's why I'm wondering, they didn't get a lot of pain res value either. They got 2 pain res at most. And now just trying to secure one final kill. We got body blocks coming in. The EMPs have already been set off in advance. Nothing left for the Singularity used for the biopods, and I think we're looking at a 3-man out here, which is absolute reversal. That head-on was MVP play of the game right there.
Oh, 1000%. That was definitely the keystone moment. And Renato saying, all right, come on, hit me out. And Singularity says, no, I'm good. I'm going to power down and take a quick sleep. But
all right, everyone, welcome back to trial number 2. We got the Death Slinger on our hands. And I was making a prediction in the back with Guilt, and because the survivors played so well, they have given their Death Slinger an absolutely phenomenal win condition. This killer can essentially just like one hook every survivor and win here. The survivors have to play absolutely greedy and out of their minds.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tall task for these survivors to walk away victorious here in this set. That being said, we'll have to wait and see, as we never want to make our calls or assume before the entity sings. That being said, these survivors doing a great job of hiding out here. No scratch marks, no chases, no nothing for the Slinger. And that Corrupt Timer is taking down those scratch marks here. Speak of the devil, and the Nancy will appear. Slinger just going to be aiming downsides, getting the hit on the Nancy, and looks like they will be making their way over towards the Shack side.
Worth noting, on that said Shack side, that is one. Oh my goodness, that is a phenomenally nasty shot. However, I don't think they're good. Yeah, good tech, but gonna be wasting a little bit of time here. The Corrupt Zone, there's a 5-gen. Oh, that's a little bit too early. Unfortunate.
It got some latent blind there. I'm not sure if that's just a spectator or was for the killer as well, but yes, just a little bit early on the firecracker blind. We do see that Warden skis coming into play, and also the Bayshore cigar. I think that's the thing that the Death Slinger was utilizing to their advantage there on those breaks to try and keep their distance through and through. But that there's the first hook, and also a Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, regressed most progressed gen by 25%.
Yeah, really good read there from the Death Slinger, and honestly, a first hook already, and you've got this 5/4 gen you can fall back on. Now, granted, for a 4 gen and a 5 gen, it's pretty spread out, but it is on one side of the map, and unhook coming in on the Nancy. Do you think we're gonna see a tunnel out here? Do you think they're just gonna go for 1 hook each? Like, what's your strat here?
If I was them, based on the points and the win condition and the fact that I brought a Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, you go for fresh hooks. I think there's no reason not to. We still don't know what their 4th perk is. Is it a Pop Goes the Weasel? Are we going to get to see value for that this time around? Is it a Noed, which honestly I think would be my pick given the circumstances? So we'll have to wait and see. That being said, Nancy now and Chase Death Slinger going for the fresh here. We do see that pre-fire trying to get the Nia there on the corner, and Death Slinger just not able to get those 2 hits.
Yeah, really spicy shots. And again, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. First gen coming down, they can opt to switch off onto the Rebecca here, zoning her out with the line of sight. They aiming outside, and pulling the trigger, but not quite getting it. However, around this loop, I would say this is something a Death Slinger can do.
Oh yeah, 1000%. Even without the prison chains, you can 1000% get the hit there. You're going to be able to follow up with a shot. The Rebecca is in a dead zone, but the biggest thing is just be patient. Just walk towards the Rebecca. ADS exactly as you do there. That's the one thing I find Huntresses and Death Slingers do all too often, is they aren't patient enough. They can just walk with your, Redeemer or Hatchet Prime and just wait until they cross that line of sight, and then you're perfect. But if you go just a little bit too early, the Survivor's going to take that inch and make it a mile.
Oh, absolutely. And 2nd gen falling for these Survivors in the meantime is essentially they're going tit for tat. The problem is for the Survivors, oh, that was nasty. Oh,
that almost reminded me of how with Pyramid Head, you used to be able to do the same thing as you can do with Death Slinger now, which is you could have the Redeemer prime for a shot and then just immediately M1. It just reminded me of that, of the days where you could do that at Pyramid Head.
That's fair. Those are the good old days. Okay, so the problem is, okay, for Survivors, you can't 1-for-1 with gens. You at some point you have to break away from that trend, because 5 gens and 5 hooks, that's not the win con you need here. You need you gotta stop giving up hooks, and it's tough.
It's going to be very difficult. I think what they may have done, and though I can't prove it, but would be willing to bet as the person or people going for the unhooks are those who have already been hooked to try and reduce the number of points they get for a 1-for-1 trade. Fair. However, we do see the rehook here on the Rebecca, and things are looking a little bit grim as you start looking at the points. That's 2 fresh hooks, a second stage. That means that as of right now, that's 8 points total for the killer, just 4 points away. Actually, I don't even think 4 points, 2 points away from the win. Here in set number 1. So, I mean, Deathslinger in a fantastic position. They don't seem to be very aggressive around gens right now, so I'm starting leaning more and more towards an endgame package.
It's very likely. Worth noting is that, yeah, essentially if Rebecca progresses to death stage, that's the win, that's the tie condition right there. So that was the result of last time. So at that point, survivors have to get out, can't give a hook, and have to finish the gens, which is just very difficult. However, Shaq being an option here, Mind Game's coming in. They get the hit through the pallet. Oh no! Wait, was that Smash It? No!
It may have been, but it does not matter as the Slinger able to get the shot through the window. Nia going down, and I believe this might be first hook for her.
About to say, that was straight out of the intro package right there. And yeah, fresh hook coming in. That was also a scourge hook because that was the hook that was used previously on Nancy. And I think at this point, maybe if you 4 out, that's enough to maybe tie. But I think at this point, I think you're just looking to stem the bleeding, get your outs, try and have a similar score so that way, you know, if tiebreakers come around, it's not abysmal to try and, you know, win in set, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing here, and that's one thing that we always want to point out with our score system. A team is never out of the running, especially with the best of 3 format, is that teams at the end of the day have an attempt to rally back here. So the points do matter, even as we do know for a fact that Aeternum has walked away victorious here in set number 1. At this point in time, Cynic just needs to rally back, get as many points as possible, and set up for a set 3 after a set 2 victory if they're able to make it happen. That being said, Deathslinger taking their time here is going to get the shot. I'm not sure they get the hit though.
Oh, well, not with Nia body blocking. Oh my goodness, phenomenal call there from the survivors. Again, and this is what I like, they're playing greedy. There's the 4th gen going down for these survivors. That's what you have to do here. You have to play greedy. And I appreciate that, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Always interested to see those moments where, like, honestly, we had no clue Nia was there and just popping out of the woodwork. We do see Adam going back into this tile. It is that much more weaker without the pallet there. We see that this thing kind of is holding their ground, keeping the Adam at bay. They want to get this down, and desperately so, but they're giving these survivors time to be on gens, to heal up, come in for another body block. We see that reset on Nia, so I'd be willing to bet that she'll be coming in here for a protection hit in just a few moments.
I'm about to say, they might know something we don't know. They might have already mapped this out a little bit. It's like, hey, if we don't give this hook to them, you know, maybe we can tie it. But yeah, that will be first hook here coming in, and a pain res 2 boot. I imagine we're going to see some outs here from the survivors, but yeah, the killer has achieved their win condition. And again, well fought. The Aeternum has played absolutely out of their mind this set. Like, some amazing plays on both sides.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting to see a Singularity versus Deathslinger matchup, and especially with the denied requisition form for Singularity being used, but just not able to get the value. I was about to say, there's no shot you get that shot, but taking it anyways and almost making it work. That being said, not going to go for the kick here. And actually, no, going to go for the kick. Nope, still not going for the kick. Yeah, so there is no pop goes Weasel. We can say that for certain based on the behavior of the Deathslinger. Otherwise, they would have been kicking gens far before now, even though the Singularity did not kick a single gen in the last match. That being said, though, Deathslinger here looking around, trying to find where this hidden survivor is, but looks like they are going to drop this gen and make their way over towards Shaq's side.
Yeah, I think they thought there was a second survivor over there trying to jam it out and double up on a gen, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And survivors have reset, they have split up. And again, were it not for the win condition being, you know, very viable for the killer here, they might have actually been in a potential bad spot. But again, we don't know what the last perk is. I mean, I think we can assume, like, you know, it's the get out of jail safe card, but you never know. So killer played very well, played very safely. I mean, they've gotten way more pain res value than the Singularity was able to this game.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? And that's what I say about all the time. A lot of people kind of stuck in the mindset in its comp that you need to tunnel, but if you're bringing pain res, there's so much to be said about spreading those early hooks and then going for the tunnel. And so it's interesting to see, you know, how that meta kind of does get molded around the strategies there. But that being said, we do see that haste status effect, that there is in fact a hex. No one escapes death. So Survivor's gonna have to be in a little bit of a pickle here unless they're able to cleanse that totem, because body blocks aren't viable, as we saw right there.
But I say, well, to be fair, that was Rebecca. She's already Deathhook. Nancy represents 2 stages here potentially. So actually, if you're gonna take a no-ed body block, that's the one to take.
I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, the Deathslinger just loses no distance whatsoever. And Nancy now kind of is caught out here. There is the shot from the Slinger. There will be the down. They can go back and get the pickup on Rebecca, I think. And if anyone goes for it, they're gonna be, ooh, maybe not. Yeah, Deathslinger seeing that door to realizing, well, maybe I can't be too greedy here.
I say they saw Adam peeking. I was like, oh wait, they're gonna leave him? All right, I'll go get this pickup, and yeah, they're gonna take their 2 points here from this hook. Honestly, yeah, take this hook, go get your next hook. Oh, they got the Rebecca pickup. That means there's a survivor that is in the wild out here, fresh, and yeah, he is running away, not gonna take the chances here, and looks like Deathslinger will be content to probably camp this out unless, I don't know, there's no way you cleanse no-ed and try and get a 4-man escape regardless, right? I mean,
you could try. Would it be a good idea? Probably not. That being said, we see the survivors escaping via the X gate, that there will be the 3-man out here for Cynic Survivor team, but a victory in set number 1 for Aeternum. And we're going to be going to set number 2 now, where we are going to be seeing a bit of a nurse mirror match on the Coal Tower.
All right, everyone, welcome back to trial number 3. We are on the Coal Tower with, I do believe this is Aeternum's nurse, as I think Dunder's become a bit of a name for Aeternum now, since the primary killer, right?
Yeah, Dunder is one of the primary killers, but not the sole killer for Aeternum, I do believe.
Fair enough, as Survivor's already spreading out. They got their sights on Survivor, going to the edge map already, no second blink. Gonna hold Nia in place. Looks like Nia actually gonna cut it into this tile a little bit. Going around the corner, this second blink and getting the tag. And, ooh, is that Badman's last breath?
That is, in fact, a Badman's last breath in the mix, as we do see Nurse trying to pre-blink into the shack, but unable to get the hit on Nia, who did a very strong double back there, confusing Nurse quite significantly. And we do hear a noise notification in distance, and that, there, friends, is a discordance.
All right, that's a new one. I was fully expecting Dying Light and discordance. What's the thought process here?
Honestly, not entirely sure myself. It's one of those perks.
Vaulting nurse.
It's that A, a vaulting nurse. B, it's one of those perk slots that kind of just is a bit of a flex spot for nurse, and every nurse brings their own little bit of flavor. Some bring Spies from the Shadows, some bring Discordance, some bring Dying Light. It really does depend. That being said, we've seen that gen queued up for a while, so that there will be the first gen popping off here for these survivors. Thrilling Tremors will have been exposed to these survivors as well, so as far as perks are concerned, we are only one away from seeing the full build, and it won't take long, as that, there, friends, is a Pop Goes the Weasel, regressing that gen by 30% of its current progression.
I'm about to say, I don't think the nurse is gonna bring no-ed, right? Like that's not how this goes, and I don't think you bring no-ed either, so yeah, Pop Goes the Weasel, a tried and true perk of the nurse caliber. However, I'm very curious what this Nia is going to be packing, as obviously any and all perks are unlocked for the survivors. Is this going to be a decisive? Is there a dead hard potentially that was missed?
And there is the decisive strike. Now, not going to get Nia all too much distance, but they did pretty well in that first chase, and it gives them long enough to get another gen completed here. 2 gens in for 2 hooks. Honestly, this is what we're starting to see more and more from the nurse. Nurse has not been doing well. If we're looking at the score from this season, I think they're like a 2.5, maybe a 3.3 at the very most if we take out some outliers, but Nurse has gotten worse and worse as time is going on. Either that or teams have gotten better and better.
I mean, in all fairness, the S tiers are what the teams practice against the most, because otherwise, like, except for your specialty killers, most of them play like a 115 with, you know, some kind of chase power. these killers break the game like on a chase level, so you have to practice. And another just beautiful double back. Yeah, exactly. This is what you spend the hours practicing for. Just phenomenal double back here. However, gonna get caught in the exit gate here and gonna be going to first hook. They do reset Nia though.
They did reset Nia, so Nia is currently one stage away from being sent back to the campfire via the NC, but a fresh hook here on the Atom. I think with 2 gens completed, this gen feels pretty well progressed. I think you go for your fresh hooks potentially, because these survivors have shown that they are good in chase and they are going to be able to get these gens done fast. And so I think you really need to avoid the tunnel out mentality here and really go for these fresh hooks, either on the Renato or on the Nancy. But Nancy's doing a fantastic job there juking out the Nurse, and looks like she's going to be bringing the Nurse further away towards the Shack side. Nurse, though, going to go for a blink, will get the hit on the Nancy here, and that there will be the undetectable stats effect applied. And it looks like Nurse going to be going back to the hook, and there is the unhook there on the Atom.
Indeed, looks like they might be going for the tunnel out here on the Atom. Worth noting, back when Nancy was going for the unhook initially, one of the things I never see very often is the killer knew that the survivors were calling out, hey, they're no longer chasing me, and instead of blinking towards Atom, blinked away because they knew Nancy was going to pre-run. Just levels of dedication and practice and mind games coming into play here. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it here, even in the micro actions from the Atom here. Unfortunately, just not able to get into the locker in time. They're trying to go for the pickup here. We do see discordance on that gen that Atom was working on earlier. Even if that pop goes weasel, I think it does pop before the Nurse is able to get there. And sure enough, yes, it is. And they're just going to take a look at some other gens here. We do see this gen with about 50% progression. Pop goes weasel, not going to get a lot of value here.
Not nearly as much, no. And looking around, yeah, but I say we saw the thrilling wasn't on those gens in the distance. Another one popping. Gil, they could be almost doubling up on the other one. They're about to have 5 gens done.
Yeah, these survivors doing absolute work here against this Nurse. Nurse worried about the unhook, but they can't worry for too long as we see 2 survivors, potentially even 3 on this gen, but not a lot of progress on it, I do want to note.
True, and Nancy being injured. Like, Nancy, like, come on, you know you want to chase me. I'm a fresh hook, you know. Oh goodness, love the dedication here. And looks like they find Nia. Nia is death hook, but to be fair, Nia was also a really good chaser in the beginning. And with the split gen, oh my goodness, yeah, discordance on both ends of the map. You do know what the progress is on that, and knowing that Adam hasn't reset. I'm sorry. Yeah, Adam hasn't reset yet, so. Where's Adam?
Yeah, looks like they did leave early, leaving the Renato to take chase instead. Renato going to be able to avoid that blink strike there. We do see discordance in the distance. That's going to be less than 45 seconds before that gen is completed. We also don't know who has adrenaline and who doesn't, and I think Nurse is trying to be a little bit too aggressive here, trying to go for back and forth between these 2 gens. You know you're having to give up one of them at some point in time. Even if you were to get a quick down and then a pop, one of them will end up getting completed here. We see discordance activated once again. Nia is going to be bringing them over towards Jack's side. Going to get hit past the rock though, and looks like Nurse will try and follow that up with the down. The question is, there's the dead hard.
Yeah, but waiting out the dead hard. Good wait from the Nurses. We did see the decisive strike. Nurse will take their pick. This will be deadlock. I'm sorry, death hook here, but at this point, you have to go find a fresh survivor. You have to go. Okay, so adrenaline on the Atom, 5th gen completed. You have to go for Nancy here, right? She's the easiest chase to get your fresh hook and camp out, right?
Yeah, Nancy would be the ideal find. However, they find Renato and able to get them down. That would be ideal as well, as that would be a fresh survivor sent back to campfire via the entity. 6 points in your favor. But we also need to make note of something. We haven't seen a deliverance.
Oh no, you're right. Nancy was the first to get the unhook too, I think. Yeah, and we see the exit gate over here being opened. Oh my goodness, you're right. They have to find Renato then, because Nancy represents like the worst case scenario. They got the door open. We could be looking at a 3-out.
It's looking like it. There's no way without Noah that you down a survivor. It doesn't matter how good of a nurse you are. We're going to see these 2 down. Nancy's going to be at Shack as we speak, I'd imagine, and that there will be the out via either the exit gate or the hatch. Doesn't matter which, as this here will result in a theoretical 3-man out. There we go.
I'm about to say, I'm waiting for it, like, kind of keep it as apprehensive there, but All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We are loading into trial number 4. It is the second half of the mirror match, and it might be the halfway point of the set as Cynic, definitely with the Survivors' previous display of aggression, setting their nurse up to have a very achievable win condition, finding an ace right off the bat immediately. There's the bad man's last breath, exactly what we saw last time, and man, I'm loving the build that I'm seeing today. We can see the builds on the back end. I love what I'm seeing here from this nurse already. Just gotta say.
Definitely some interesting stuff. Survivors actually already wear a lot of the perks of both Dying Light and, of course, the Corrupt Invention. The other 2 perks still a little bit of an unknown, and the nurse, realistically speaking, only needs to get a 2K in order to take set 2 and force a set 3. Though I'm sure the 4K or more would be more than welcome, as that would set them up for success, and that, their friends, is an infectious fright.
Infectious fright. I have seen everything. Discordance from the previous one, infectious fright. Those are both first times I've seen these perks in any real capacity this season. To be fair, I think we saw it once earlier in the season with an Oni, and that might be it. So, love to see it. First act of Dying Light coming in. I am used to seeing Dying Light. Dying Light seems to be a very, honestly, kind of meta pick at this point, and I'm kind of into it. It's not the most strong, but it's good. It does what it needs to.
Well, especially towards the end of the match, especially if you don't tunnel out the Obsession, I mean, it is just an insurmountable amount of gen slowdown.
Absolutely, and speaking of gen slowdown, Survivors not seeming to pop anything just yet. I guess with the early tag on Ace, just not able to spread out to the 4 corners of the map here and get some gen. Ooh, but they do find, they do find Tap here. They get the unhook in the meantime. It looks like they're going to go apply a blast mine.
So, really funny. So, as Rue was going to say, and as we'll probably see, that there was going to be a Pop Goes the Weasel. However, the blast mine stunning the nurse for just long enough to where their Pop Goes the Weasel charge, quote unquote, or cooldown had expired.
That is so sad. Oh, and what a phenomenal play from the Ace, getting the short blink from the nurse. We've seen probably one of the best head-ons of all time in this game, and that might be one of the best blast mine values I have seen so far. Avi would be proud. Oh my goodness, that was a phenomenal blink and double hit on the infectious fright. They do finish a gen. In the meantime, they're just gonna go straight for the tunnel, though. That makes sense. You gotta get a survivor out of the game.
Yeah, in this scenario, it makes sense. Before I was saying, based on, you know, them killing first, that sprint at the hooks makes a ton of sense. Here, though, I think going for the tunnel out makes a ton of sense because you really only need that 2K. So getting a survivor out early here, especially with it being a non-obsession, is huge. Oh, yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to say the least as these survivors do set up for the next gen completion. This gen here going to be aggressed by 30% of its current progression. Second gen being completed for these survivors. They're wasting no time on these gens.
Absolutely. And speaking of tunnel, I think that might have been what ended up costing the previous nurse was they couldn't tunnel out Nia. They actually got the unhook, and Survivor actually got them out of dodge and, you know, reset, and then they never saw them until the end of the game. So we'll just have to see here as they keep hooking back here in this, you know, 12 o'clock position, and it's between their 3-gen. I think this is also just a really smart nurse play. Just, you know, put them in no man's land. Survivors want to come do it? Okay, cool. Come on and hook your Survivor. You're not doing these gens in the meantime, though, are you?
Yeah, but do you want to know that these survivors have not reset in the slightest? They are sitting on gens right now. In fact, let's just take a look and see where exactly these survivors are. Yeah, we see one survivor here with about 70-80%. We actually see the Nia coming in for the unhook, but that's going to be the 1-for-1 exchange. Nancy on a gen, Nurse going to go for the tunnel on the Ace. Things are getting dire and getting dire quick. Unless that's a deli or an unbreakable on that Nia, this is going to be a very interesting play.
True. We did see the yellow bar, though, and so I'm guessing that was probably their deli unbreakable player. We'll just have to see. Ace doing a phenomenal job with balance landing, though, getting back over here into the 8 and 9. Doing a phenomenal double back again. Nia getting picked up. They do finish the 3rd generate in the meantime. Survivors are absolutely biting back with vengeance here, and you're kind of right. Nurse definitely struggling this season a little bit, and is showing here just... Oh my goodness, yeah, this is the death hook potentially here from Ace, unless they waited out a decisive 4th gen going down, but they still have their 3 gen. Nurse still has a 3 gen to hold on to. You can reset and work on tackling them. The Dying Light at 3 stacks 2 is nothing to sneeze at. That's rough.
No, it's not. I mean, that's 9% slowdown on these gens, except for Tap. Tap does not have any penalty to worry about. In fact, actually gets 33% increase in healing speed for what it's worth, but these Survivors not fearing the reset, and looks like Tap will stay up for a little bit longer. These other 2 Survivors, I imagine, doubling up on a gen as we speak. This Nurse needs to get this down ASAP. The thing is, if they just camp this hook out, they do claim victory. So Survivors have to do something here, get the gen completed, and then get the Tap out of the exit gate alive. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Survivors are able to do. We see the Nurse slugging out and going for the Nancy instead.
Yeah, it makes sense. That obviously, Tap doesn't represent a Dying Light stack, and they're obviously not gonna have Unbreakable here, as they never got an unhook. They're probably not the Unbreakable player. It makes sense to go for the Nancy here. It means only 1 Survivor's on it, and that means that you either choose between doing a gen or going for the pickup. And now with Nancy going down, you can secure this hook, go back and get your hook on Tap if Neve's doing a gen all this time, and that should be enough points, right? That's 6 from the server that died, and that's 6 from fresh points on 2 Survivors. That's 12. Is that enough?
It probably would be enough,
that's almost
regardless of whether or not they die. We do see Poppin once again regressing that gen by 30% of its current progression. Let's take a look around and see what's going on here. We see Tap crawling towards that hook. We see Nia trying to set up for the unhook here, and Nancy just hanging out as they have been. Nurse just going to be staying next to this unhook, though. And yeah, things are looking grim here for the Survivors, looking more and more like a 4K for the Nurse at 4 gens completed.
It's gonna be very close. I know that Nia was wanting to go back to this gen, but that's the problem is, like, Nurse has line of sight on that gen. They can see if the Nia goes to work on it. They can also, you have to go to the Tap, and now Nurse knows where you are as well. Go right back there, get a tag on Tap.
Not necessarily, because Nurse expects that the Tap was still back in Shack, but Tap spent that entire time crawling closer to the unhook, and I think we're going to see an unhook before second stage is up for it.
It's very possible. They go for the unhook instead. Maybe a reset coming in? They made the steps necessary. I'm kind of flabbergasted. I didn't think that's how it was going on. I thought that Nurse had, knife to the jugular. It's about to be over, and Survivors are going to make a comeback here, potentially.
Yeah, it's starting to look like it. That being said, I believe this might be Tap here that the Nurse is currently in chase with. Tap going to the edge map, going to try and make the Nurse's blinks here as risky as possible, but losing line of sight on the Survivor, going to be going forward now. Nancy instead, who is only worth 2 points, mind you, so that would be 1 point off of the win condition, I do believe. So, going to be interesting here if they're able to get this down and then camp it to death, or if they do go for the generators instead.
We'll have to see. I imagine Nia back on the generator that got popped earlier. The second one coming in. It's like you say, they only need a real 2K here to get it, but Survivors aren't going to give them that 2K lightly. I love the aggressive hooking from this Nurse. They've gone to the back of the map. They've gone, to the center here. Despite Agitation being banned, it's like they're playing like, okay, I know Agi's banned, but I'll still make it. And there's the final gen. Oh my god,
final gen. I do want to note there, I want to say it was a sprint burst. I do want to note there was blood on the ground, so that there was the Tap along with the Nia. However, Nia now in chase of the Nurse gets this down and gets the hook. That there will be the win for Cynic here in set number 2. And looks like they are going to end up getting downed here. Yep. And even with the suspected deliverance, this will not matter, except for the potential additional 3 points in the instance the Nia does in fact die.
True, and honestly, that might be, Aeternum won the first set by, I don't know how many points, but it might have been somewhere around 6-point difference. This Nurse, if they were able to get a couple of extra points, that kind of shorts up the difference. Yeah, there's the deliverance you were talking about. Door has been opened. Do they go for the exit gate, or they're going for hatch?
It looks like
or is it the other exit gate?
Or this exit gate might be open. Nurse trying to line up the blink here. Door is not open. Nia still making way towards Shaq.
think
The
she
nurse
gets it.
fatiguing out. They might have to go for a one blink hit here. And if they do, I don't even think it's going to matter. Nia, I think, gets out via the hatch, and there's the three-man out.
That was so close, it's not even funny. All right, everyone, welcome back to Champions of the Fog. We are in the final set of this match. We have V1 on the Artist, and we are on the Wrecker's Yard for a good old-fashioned slugfest. This has to be one of my favorite maps.
Yeah, Wreckers is a fantastic map, and honestly has gotten a little bit better. It's not as strong for Killer, mind you, but it definitely has got a lot of flavor with these new car piles breaking up the line of sight.
Yeah.
Looks like Nia now in chase. A lucky break getting exposed to the Killer here. And looks like the Artist going to be setting up for a down here at the tile. Dire Crow's coming in. Nia having to take the Dire Crow lest they do get right in front of the flight path, but Artist going to go for a quick down nonetheless.
Yeah, really good zoning here from the Artist. A little bit of frosty eyes. I wonder if that's telltale as it is in pubs, but regardless, I think is that an agitation? They're moving fast.
That is, in fact, an agitation, and Artist a little bit concerned there about someone being at the pallet, but was not the case. And looks like Nia will get put in the basement. We see Nancy here on the gen, not too far away. Artist setting up some crows, trying to get a little bit of information. Two survivors on two different gens, about 50% in, and a tap with a deja vu, getting a little bit of extra gen progression bonus.
Just a little bit, and also setting up, seeing that there is going to be a central gen in the shack there as well. Honestly, I feel like Artist just really good on this map. Like you said, get a central hook, and you're able to just absolutely harass all these generators. Look at the multiple crows they got set up to harass the tap off the generator. Ace doing a pretty good job on theirs. Nancy's well spread out. So survivors aren't giving up, obviously. Like, they've got plenty of gens to work on. Just how are you going to get that unhook? Do you just give them, second stage in hopes that you get three gens?
It's starting to look exactly like what they're going to do here. We see these are just sitting on gens, no care in the world. So Nia's going to progress the second stage. It looks like Tap's starting to work on a different gen in the back. We see the second gen completion there from the Nancy. And now that we're kind of spreading out here, Nancy kind of taking some time trying to get a little bit closer to the shack. But no, it looks like they're actually going to rotate over to Tap's gen, I think.
Interesting. Is there a world where they're like, all right, sorry, you're just gonna die in base, but there's nothing we can do about it. You gotta die. But I don't know, like, what do you risk it? I don't think Artist is gonna let you have that for free. It's gonna be a 1-for-1 trade, and is that okay?
Oof.
Oh no! Taking
Yeah,
an injury as well.
Shotgun coming in, gonna make it that much harder to try and get the escape via the basement. So just only leaves the Ace and Tap here. And looks like Ace is set up for the unhook. The question is, can they get down there in time? Ooh, and the Artist now knows exactly where they are. I think those plans have been aborted. And yeah, I think Nia gonna be moving back to the campfire via the entity here.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. Nasty pick there from them, but they are going to be able to finish the third generator here, so survivors are fighting back. 3 stages for 3 gens completed seems to be the trade that the survivors have made here. Now the question is, how do they finish the rest of them? We see with Deja Vu what the generator situation is. Oh, wait, who are they in chase with?
I want to say that might be the Ace, but I don't
Ace holding
know.
W.
Oh, it looks like it might be the Nancy. I was trying to figure out because I couldn't hear a heartbeat on anyone, really. We do see a light there from the Nancy getting a little bit of distance there off the window, and looks like we do see the flight path coming in. We're going to get the stun, but the Artist still fires it off.
Oh no, I think they even might have got the killer blind there. I couldn't tell, but regardless, Artist doing a phenomenal job taking the trade, and that's gonna be first hook coming in for the Nancy. We see 2 survivors equidistant from each other on a different gen. Does the Artist have pain rest, maybe?
It sounded like they do, in fact, have a pain residence, so that did, in fact, regress the most progressed gen by 25%. We saw tap in that gen real quick just to stop it from regressing. We see the Ace now in chase, and yeah, Art's trying to set up for the injury here, but Ace going to be able to make a little bit of distance away. We do see a highlighted gen there from the survivors. I'm thinking maybe a blast mine in the mix.
But I don't think Wiretap's allowed in here, so I'm definitely thinking a blast mine in. Honestly, like, ringing, it just makes sense, right? There's probably a good chance that this killer does have pop. I mean, very, very aggressive. And to be fair, I think Pop might be one of the most picked perks besides Corrupt Intervention. So Blast Blast is just so nice to have here. However, running into the line of sight of the Crone, not going to even need it, taking an M1 over the top. They do reset Nancy. But like you said, now it's the opposite situation. So you talk about a Survivor, and then, you know, Survivors do a lot of gens in the meantime, but then you have those extra pain res hooks to start spreading around and keep those last gens from firing. So, I don't know, yeah, there's a conversation to be had about how to use pain res.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that being said, Nancy looks to be setting up for the unlock here. The artist is looking around and is quite close by. Looks like they will be taking a look at the gen that the Nancy was on. Tap here about 66% through this generator. We do see the Crows go by. That's definitely a killer instinct at the very least. So I'd imagine the art's going to make their way over here. But no, just sending over more Crows, really wanting to defend that unhook. And Nancy just going to be hanging out here, trying to set up for this unhook. Maybe might be going for a 1-for-1 exchange.
Would make sense. You've got the time. As long as one Survivor can be constantly working, it's a good time. Looks like this gen is still... Did it get regressed or not? It's one in yellow.
So it didn't get regressed, but there's no Deja Vu right now. We can actually see the 3 Deja Vu gens that would get that bonus. And looks like Nancy, once again, setting up for this unhook, but time's ticking away, and looks like this will be a progression to second stage regardless. I think Nancy maybe just hoping that the artist will move away now, and that they've claimed their second stage.
They moved away for a second, but I'm wondering what's the moment that they're going to go back for it. I think they want to commit to tap fully.
Yeah, it's looking like that is the case. We do see the Crows on tap. Looks like Art's going to be bringing them further out to the corner. This will give Nancy the time necessary to get that unhook and possibly a reset as well. Though Tap in a little bit of a predicament, realizing that will go for the vault, that there will be a balanced landing, getting this Survivor a little bit of extra distance, but Artist seeing that will be dropping back to the gens. These Survivors going to have to be careful here. We do see the Ace hanging around here. There is a wheel will make it from the Nancy, but Nancy unable to complete the heal, I think.
Unfortunate. Yeah, they've also been trying to run away and get distance, as Artists obviously can, you know, fire Crows back, and you definitely don't want to give a chance to, you know, have Ace shotgun their death hook. And so, but now Tap's free to go back and work on the gen, and they do have Deja Vu, so they are going to be more efficient there. And honestly, as good as Artists has played so far, Survivors are definitely in a position to come back, potentially.
Yeah, and looking like we will see the hit here on the Tap. That's going to be all 3 Survivors currently injured, but Tap knows the Artist is going to have to make a choice, and yeah, we're going to see that pal break, but I think Artist will drop Chase in its entirety. Let's take a look and see what other Survivors are. We do see the Nancy going back for this gen. I want to say the Ace nearby as well, but not want to be sympathetic campfire via that entity just yet. Gonna do a quick hide in the locker, it would seem.
Makes the most sense. You are, I mean, you're a pretty sound Survivor as is, and it makes a whole lot of sense. Oh, I just realized Nancy is self-aware, doesn't they? Is that, wait,
yeah,
is that self-aware?
They do, in fact, no, actually, they don't have self-aware. It's just...
Why are we seeing scratch marks?
It's because someone has self-aware, and thus on the transition,
Spectator.
sometimes we see them. That there is how the Spectator is working. But it's going to be going to comp corner here. Let's see what other Survivors are. We see 2 Survivors on this one gen. I'm thinking this will be the gen completion, so we're looking at a potential 2, if not 3-person out if they do get a little bit spicy here. But I imagine Crow's gonna be sent out here by the Artist in just one moment. And do you want to note that Tap is the person you want to chase here? They are the fresh out. The question is whether or not the Artist will go for them or go for the Ace, who is still injured and ready to be sent back to Aimfire via the entity.
I think it all depends on if you have Noed or not. You have Noed, go for Tap and get your fresh hook. Otherwise... Okay, never mind. I stand corrected. This Artist wants a 4K.
Yep, and there is in fact the no one escapes death. We do see that unhook there from the Tap. Nancy gonna be breaking off. They're gonna be trying to set up for a 2-man escape if possible, but the Artist gonna be going for the Tap, it seems, and for good reason. As we said, at this point in time, you just take every dire growth in the flight path, right? But not that you're gonna have a chance, as Artist is gonna go for the swing and the down here.
Yeah, that's gonna be the no-ed. Honestly, no, they want the 4K. All right. I mean,
it's a risk.
I'm trying to think of you want to set up the worst possible win condition for your opponent, right? Because, well, yeah, Aeternum's advantageous for a tie. If this set is a tie, Aeternum wins, right?
Yes, if this set is a tie, Aeternum will walk away victorious here. We do see the artist going back around, trying to find where the tap is. Looks like this will give the Nancy and the Ace enough time to go for an escape via the Execute, I think. So I think this will result in the 2-man out. We'll have to wait and see. We see that pick up there. It's not going to be long with that agitation before they reach a hook. About 10 seconds before this Execute is open. No sign of the Ace, though.
True. I was about to say, they want to give their killer the best chance to avoid a tie condition if at all possible, but you don't want to accidentally give them an impossible win condition by getting, tap out, potentially, so... Oh, man. Yeah, survivors don't... She wants that unhook! She wants a 3-out!
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, they're looking to get tap out. You can theoretically give the killer an additional stage here in exchange for the 2-stage out.
True.
We see that crow going by the Ace. I mean, the moment that the artist goes for the Ace, then Nancy can come in for the unhook. We do see the crow coming out here. Ace once again trying to dodge it, not able to do so in time. And it looks like they're going to be able to get rid of the crows.
Good, I'm about to say, good locker tech. I'm about to say, you do not want to go down by that exit gate. Then you're giving them an extra stage, and Nancy has to leave. There's no chance of getting the unhook trade.
Yeah, we
I'm about to
see
say, you
Nancy
have to reset if you want this
there.
out. You have to reset if you want this out, though. There's no way you get it otherwise.
Well, the problem is that Noed is still up. They know where it is. We saw it briefly there, but Noed's still in play, and I think they're going to be content with the 2-man out here, though. Ooh, Ace. Ace getting cut off.
Worth it.
Yeah, Ace getting cut off there. They're not able to get away. They're going to go for this unhook, it looks like, and just use the BT to get the 2-man out because Tap already went the second stage, and BT will get them enough time, I think.
Phenomenal play. Wait, can they get a double tap here? No, they can't.
It's going to be close, and yeah. I honestly, I think if the artist committed, I think because of the increased haste from Noed, they actually would have been able to get the tap as well.
It's possible, but regardless, Aeternum Survivor Squad did a really good job there and gave their killer much more breathing room. Because we know the next one's up is Executioner, right? So
yes,
I would usually favor Artist over Executioner, but now that you see at least some survivors out, that does give your killer a better shot here. So survivors did a really good job. All right, everyone, welcome back to trial number 6. It is all down to this. We have the Executioner already seeing a survivor in the distance, and I have no words for this game. This is going to be very, very spicy. Also, my goodness, this build is already so different from what I was expecting. I love it. I love it.
We'll have to wait and see what it is. That being said, the Executioner now in chase. For those of you wondering in chat what the win condition is, now, you would be technically correct if you told me that the win condition is a 3K11 hook. However, because Aeternum has more match points overall between set 1 and set 2, if Aeternum ties this with a 3K10, the match would go to them. So if that being said, we'll have to take a look and see what that looks like. And Execution just not able to get the hits necessary with their Punishment of the Damned here.
Good shots. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but unfortunately not going to work out there. They are going to spot for the Nancy here. Looks like they're going to be zoning him a little bit, but they do have the pallet holding to the left, and Nancy going to avoid it. Nancy staying in this pocket, happy to take as many pot shots as possible, running back, and yeah, Execution's gonna have to drop chase once again, find a different survivor. That's one thing that is rough with this killer, is that unlike Artist, you have to eat through the pallets, but once those pallets are gone, this killer is hyper lethal.
Yes, very much so, but I mean, even with the pallets gone, that's the thing, you can still play around it. And you can play around it well with blocking line of sight. You want to take those prediction shots, but sometimes it's not the best thing to do. And you just want to instead bait it out at the pallets and at the vaults. And Survivors here are playing really, really well against the Executioner so far. Going to go up to an LT wall here. And so far, without any gens popping off, no downs either. It's hard to say who has advantage as Adam going to this tile. Once again, dodging the Punishment of the Damned. First gen popping off. Deadlock has been seen by these survivors, and though we didn't see it, well, I'll just let you know that there is, in fact, a Rancor in the mix as well.
Yeah, so one thing, I don't remember, have we seen Deadlock at all this season? I don't think we
see it rarely. It's definitely a once in a while thing. It's not as much as we used to when it used to be comboed with Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance, and Pop. And so we definitely don't see it often. But when we do, it tends to get some value, at least in slowing things down. That being said, these Survivors doing a fantastic job in chase. Like we said, the win condition here is a 3K 10 hook for the tie. A clean punch from the dam there on the Claudette, but we'll have to wait and see if it matters, as we do see that unhook. No Torment on Adam, so they still have to go for the down. A miss on both the Adam and the Nancy here at that punishment. Thunder really being aggressive on these blind shots.
But to say, you gotta try. I mean, it's gonna be a tough win condition regardless. Like, I think our average executioner score is usually a 2K with X number of stages, so they've got to really put some numbers. That's why I like the addition of Rancor. You get a little bit of knowledge, but it guarantees at the end of the game, you should be able to just completely remove a survivor instantaneously. You know, down them, mori them, and that's one and done. Maybe find your last survivor after that. I don't know, but...
Ooh, that was a close call by the Claudette. I just want to point out, like, narrowly avoiding the punishment while trying to take the body block. They do take a hit, which does give the Adam a little bit of extra distance, so it does work out the way they wanted it to. However, Adam in a bit of a dead zone here, and yeah, things are looking rough here. We do see that punishment coming up, but ooh, I was going to say a bit late on that hit, but does get the hit.
But to say, I think they were expecting the double back there instead of the prediction, and they actually got it. And second hook coming in. We'll have to see how many gens fall for this. Survivor's obviously not wasting any time. We do see a reset, I think, on the Nancy and the reset on the Cloud, so maybe not wasting you know, a whole lot of time on the gens after all, just trying to reset and play this safe. Ooh, look at that snapshot though.
Yeah, I mean, Rancor gets a lot of good information here for what it's worth. That being said, we now have a bit of a gen split. We have the one in Shack here. We have the one in that corner, which is now deadlocked. It doesn't have a lot of progression on it, so Pyramid does know that these Survivors have not really been on gens all too much outside of the last one that was completed. We do see two Survivors here, though, that there being the Jake as well as the Nancy. Going for another punishment of the Dan. Jake just going to hold W, will avoid it there, and I can respect killers for trying to go for those shots, but with so much wiggle room, the Survivors just have so many opportunities to not get hit there, to where it is more detrimental for you as a killer to go for it than it is for sometimes just to W key towards. But and there are moments like that that just kind of incentivize you to say, you know, well, I got it that one time.
Well, to be fair, it's either that or she runs left, hits the what is it, the rights of judgment? Torment, yeah. And then you're in a whole different zone. So the one thing Survivors have done really well is they have denied them all the torment value in the world. Also worth noting, they didn't go back to Adam on the hook. They're gonna go for other Survivors, which is really interesting because they don't have they haven't shown pain res yet.
Yeah, they have not shown. Yeah, exactly. So Deadlock was an interesting choice here. I mean, we have seen in our data that Deadlock is such a beneficial perk to have. Like 9 times out of 10. In games where you don't see Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, it usually results in a loss for the killer, and we might be seeing that here too. Deadlock's getting some value, but would it have gotten more value if it was Scourge Hook instead? Hard to say.
Very hard to say. Again, it is Executioner. You want to be cagey, but Survivors haven't let it happen. There's the, oh, that was a fantastic read from the killer, and this is the Death Hook Survivor. So if they can finish this chase relatively quickly, good double back from the Adam there is going to be wasting more time. Killer's looking at a tough win condition potentially if the Survivors spread out after the gen's done.
Yeah, it's looking really rough here for Aeternum's killer. They're trying to get Adam, but just not able to make it work. Adam going to the corner of the map. Looks like we will see the M1 down here for what it's worth, but I can only imagine these Survivors are on these final gens. Nancy kind of over on an LT wall. We see 2 on it. There it is. There's the 5th gen completed, and this is looking quite grim. We'll have to wait and see how this turns out. You know, don't want to call anything before then these things, especially as we do see a haste stats effect from Noed.
About to say, we knew as soon as I saw Nancy, I was like, oh, she's going to an exit gate, but didn't end up finding the exit gate, doubling back, you know, to avoid the hit. Yeah, you gotta get it really nasty hit here, get a slug, and then try and hold it from there. There's the hits. Do they go for this? Do they just go for the cage instead?
I don't think it matters, because if the cage ends up next to an exit gate,
True.
If they don't go for an exit gate, then they get out. Regardless, the execution here is just unable to meet their win condition, and I think they know it too.
There's Claudette. She's the... I say is if Nancy's on another exit gate, it's lights out. But if Nancy wasn't on an exit gate right now, Cloud's gonna go down. She's Moriable technically. You don't want to waste that. Wait, no. When did Nancy become the obsession?
Nancy's been the obsession, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Thought it was Claudette. Okay.
No,
well, wait,
it is Nancy. They do get the pickup there on the Jake. Maybe a little bit of an aggressive play. We see the scratch marks over there, and we do see the Hex Totem over by Bus. Execution trying to cut them off here on the left. Looks like Nancy by the bus as well.
Oh, this is gonna be so close. These survivors don't have the other exit gate up, but Jake, after you go for the pickup, you just go to the exit gate that Claudia was working on. Yeah, you can't commit to this. Jake's gonna go for the pickup. No, they got the exit gate done. All they have to do is leave.
Yep, all they have to do is leave at this point in time, and that there will secure victory for Cynic here in set number 3. Nancy's still hanging around by the bus, maybe trying to set up for a hatch escape. We see the pickup on the Claudette. I imagine this will be the 2-man out. There's the punishment of the damned attempt. Nancy just out of reach. They're not leaving. There they go. There's the 2-man out. That will be the stages that they need. And even with Nancy potentially dying here at the bus, that there will be victory for Cynic in set number 3 and our semifinals for today.
Oh my goodness, what a phenomenal match between these teams. This was amazing. And we get to watch the Executioner Mori for the end. You know, Pirate Victor, you know, you take it where you can.
Exactly.
Oh,
but that being said, GG, well played to both teams, and congratulations to Cynic walking away victorious here in the semifinals of Season 8.